Welcome back. Picture this. Your dashboard says 85% complete. The audit countdown is staring you in the face. Personnel security is lagging behind. And there's one lonely open fix-it item sitting there like a smoke alarm chirping at 2 a.m. That is not the moment you want a blank chat box asking, "How can I help?" What CMMC Compliance Partner is trying to do here is very different. The AI advisor is not built like a generic chatbot that tosses out broad advice and hopes something sticks. It's designed as a live compliance copilot for CMMC work, meaning it understands the actual terrain you're standing on. That's the 110 NIST SP 800-171 controls across 14 domains, the difference between level 1 and level 2 expectations, the kind of proof a C3PAO is going to look for, and the very practical reality that companies do not need more theory when they're behind. They need the next right step. And that word, context, is the whole ball game because generic compliance advice is easy to find. You can ask almost any AI, "Tell me about access control," and it'll give you a respectable little paragraph, maybe even a pretty good one. But that paragraph does not know whether your access control domain is 40% done or 100% done. It does not know whether your onboarding gap analysis already set initial statuses across all 110 controls. It does not know whether you've uploaded evidence, whether you generated a policy, whether a POANM item is overdue, or whether the weak spot in your account right now is PS, personnel security, with one missing requirement keeping you from a cleaner readiness picture. This advisor does know that. Every AI interaction is page aware and status aware. If you're on the controls page looking at one specific control, the Ask AI About This button opens guidance tied to that exact control, not some big bag of cybersecurity wisdom. If you're on the journey page, it can use your real scores to give you today's focus, one specific thing to do today based on what's actually incomplete. If you're on the health report, Claude Haiku can summarize your strongest domains, your biggest gaps, and one recommended action in plain English. That's not AI as entertainment. That's AI as triage. Let me make that concrete. Say your dashboard shows overall readiness at 85%. You've got domain by domain progress, an audit countdown, and one open fix-it item. Personnel security is the weak patch. A generic chatbot might say, "Review your personnel screening and termination procedures." Fine, true enough. But the advisor in this product opens with a data-driven action plan. It can say, in effect, here's the gap, here's the linked control, here's what's already been done, here's what proof is missing, and here's the fastest path to close it. Upload the evidence, generate the policy if you don't have one, or get a clearer explanation before you act. And honestly, that matters because compliance work is rarely blocked by ignorance alone. It's blocked by decision fatigue. People get stuck wondering, should I be working on a document, evidence, a remediation item? Am I even in the right domain? The advisor cuts through that. It doesn't wait for you to invent the perfect question. It leads and the user follows. And in a world where one missing control status or one unlinked evidence file can slow the whole march to audit readiness, that kind of guidance is not a luxury. It's the difference between motion and progress. My favorite design choice in this whole system might be the simplest one. The advisor does not open with a blank page. It opens mid-conversation with 3 prioritized actions and numbered buttons. I love that because most folks using a compliance platform are not struggling to type. They're struggling to prioritize. They don't need another invitation to brainstorm. They need somebody to say, start here, then do this, then this. That's what AI leads, user follows really means. The advisor looks at the real compliance data in the account and presents the top 3 actions, not 12, not a wall of text that reads like it was written by a committee at midnight. 3. Pick one and move. It's a small thing, but it changes the experience from, "I guess I'll poke around," to, "All right, I know what I'm doing next." And when you're chasing 110 controls, that reduction in friction is worth a whole lot. Now, once you click in, you can still use plain language. You do not need to speak fluent acronym. You can ask, "Explain this control like I'm new to CMMC." You can ask, "What proof would an assessor want for this?" You can ask it to draft a remediation plan for a gap. You can ask it to role play likely assessor questions so you can practice before the real conversation. That's important because the platform already organizes every control card with the practical pieces people actually need, what this means, what you need to do, and what proof you need. The advisor extends that with guided next steps instead of making you translate federal language by yourself. And it all ties into the rest of the workflow. If the answer is you need a policy, there's a generate policy path. If the answer is you need proof, there's upload evidence. If your onboarding answers exposed a gap, Claude Sonnet can set initial control statuses and even create the first three POANM items automatically. If you've got existing documents laying around, PDFs, Word files, spreadsheets, images, the doc scanner can extract text with OCR, map content to specific controls, and show what's covered, partially covered, or missing. So the advisor is not floating out there as a clever chat feature. It is connected to actions that change the account. That's the practical payoff. Compliance language can get abstract in a hurry. Access control, security assessment, system and information integrity. And before long, people feel like they're reading a manual written by three lawyers and a router. But when the advisor uses your actual readiness, your actual documents, your actual control statuses, and your real gaps, all that jargon gets translated into a clear action plan. Here's the control. Here's the proof. Here's what's missing. Here's what to do today. And if you're thinking, yeah, but the last 10 or 15% is always the hardest, you're exactly right. That's where proactive guidance matters most. Not when everything is on fire, and though it helps there too, but when you're close, when the remaining gaps are annoyingly specific, when one overdue POANM item or one missing evidence link keeps the whole picture from turning green. The advisor keeps progress moving, one concrete action at a time, until those last controls close and the conversation stops being, "Are we ready?" and starts being, "When do we schedule the assessment?"